Fuck. Okay. Third line. Start with the podcast for third line. Welcome to Read It and Screech.
The podcast to my family because life takes a village. I did it right.
The podcast for...
I said the podcast for to my family. I have to read exactly what it said. We can just omit parts that they put in. She worded it like that. We have to say how she worded it or it's shitty.
You're going to feel stupid for respecting her later. I'm Grace. This is my sister who refuses to let me share her name. I'm going to find a way to work it in here somewhere.
I don't want to.
It's like if you went to go get gas and someone refused to let you put the gas cap on. You're like, I'm already at the gas station. What the fuck is wrong with you? Welcome to Read It and Screech, the plot summary podcast. This is my co-host, The Serial. If you'd like to support the show, you can rate, review, and subscribe.
Or don't, because we're still going to do this, even if you don't do that.
Okay, here's the thing. Dear listener. It has been my dream for a long time for Audible to sponsor me.
And they said no.
I need one written review on Apple. It doesn't have to be good.
Oh, I can do that. Why didn't you just ask me?
I thought maybe they would know.
We have husbands.
They would say, who's this? This is The Serial. The book we're covering this week.
I have good news. I have bad news and I have good news. We started this already and then our equipment wasn't working. But the good news is I have a traumatic brain injury and I already forgot all of it. So we're good to go.
Oh my God, Eva, we know you have a brain injury.
I'm going to say it again a bunch of times.
Oh,
but I'm just saying it's good news. It's good news for the mechanical error.
Has a brain injury. I have no excuse for why I'm this way, however. So the book that we're covering this week is a book that I chose because there was no way that I could get my co-host to ingest the material in any other way.
Because it's fucking rat shit.
Okay, so we're covering Rhapsodic by Laura Thalassa.
See? Rat shit. Rat shitting.
It is narrated by Chelsea Stevens.
Chelsea, I really think that you should have just paid your rent late.
It was 11 hours and 40 minutes, 326 pages. It has 3.9 stars on Goodreads because people reviewed, and subscribed it.
And here's our firm belief here at Read It and Screech, is that every single thing that is in your head does not need to be put out in the world. You know when that
we personally don't subscribe to that,
right,
but for other people we feel.
The little blurb on Facebook says, what's on your mind? It doesn't mean it. Keep it to yourself.
This started out as an indie publication, and it was picked up by a traditional publisher. That traditional publisher was Blackstone Publishing, that brought to us the likes of What Lies Beyond the Veil. They did also publish the Silo series, which is now a series on Apple Plus.
Which is Apple TV, or was Apple TV.
Okay, they're not all hits, you know. Some are misses.
Most are misses. All are misses.
A quick trigger warning that the content of the book does include mention
all bad.
Of
it's just all bad.
Sexual assault. We do not heavily focus on that. There's also an underlying current that we picked up on of perhaps some potential grooming of a person in their late teens. We are going to be very disrespectful to the author for writing such horse shit, and we are going to take a grizzly bear sized shit on the content that we find inappropriate. I'm going to skip the casting because it doesn't deserve any Hollywood actors. Fair. It's told in one of the worst formats, in my opinion, because every single fucking chapter starts with a flashback.
Ugh.
So you just flip-flop in the whole
flip-flop.
chapter. I'm not going to do that to you, though. I created a timeline, so we'll start in the past and then make our way forward. So the main character, her name is Callie. She is a siren. She's a human with...
Oh, right. Are we in modern day America?
Yes.
The planet Earth?
Yes.
What time?
So we're in modern day USA.
USA!
To start off with, they do travel a bit around the world through ley lines, so they can teleport a little bit. Our main character is human with a siren inside of her.
So that's two items. She is a siren, or she has a siren up in there.
That's like how sirens work, is that it's like a piece of your soul. I don't fucking care, honestly. The main male protagonist is a fae. He has a day job as being the king of the night realm in the fae realm. He moonlights in the Earth side as
a piece of shit.
So during the day, his duties in the night court or the night kingdom, whatever, they take care of themselves for the most part. So
why does he exist?
Unexplained. During the times that he doesn't have to do his kingly duties, he comes to the earth side, the human realm, and he runs around making black market deals with people because he is a fae, he has magic, and he can grant favors to people. In return, he gives them a magical tattoo that serves as an IOU at a later date. And he basically just schemes.
I owe you that booty.
Can I do what I need to do? He plays the favors off of each other to try to benefit his people back in the fae realm. It doesn't make sense to me that he needs stuff in the earth side to benefit.
It fucking doesn't. Unless he's trying to buy a nuke.
It's whatever. Those are the two main characters. We open in the middle of the night. Callie has just killed her stepfather.
Juicy.
Turns out he was abusing her whole life.
Disgusting.
She kills him 1 week before her 16th birthday.
So she's 15?
At 16, she would have been considered an adult.
Where's the mom?
She's kicking herself because in a week she would have been considered an adult anyway, and she just could have left. She summons the bargainer. The bargainer appears. He sees her. He sees the dead body on the floor. He rightfully tells her that he does not make deals with minors.
Disgusting.
But then he takes pity on her because of the whole dead body thing, and he tells her he will help her for free. Only if she goes to a supernatural boarding school.
That's not free then, but okay.
It's weird. She goes to the boarding school.
Free ain't free.
5 months later, she gets a call from the supernatural FBI. She thinks, oh, this motherfucker's magic didn't really work all the way because they're looking into me. So she calls him again. He shows up to her high school dorm. This time he won't help her without a bargain.
Okay, so here's where I'm going to explain to you that this entire book reeks of age play in the kink community,
of which you are an avid member.
No.
The Serial is a card-carrying member of the kink community.
No.
So she would know.
No. When you participate in, like, certain kinks... everyone around is supposed to be consenting in the kink. So you're not supposed to like go out in public and like walk people on leashes. So when you see people in videos on like at the mall and stuff and they're like walking a dude in leather on a leash, that's like frowned upon, and that's like a publicity stunt. Yeah. That's like a publicity stunt, and like that's not funny, and that's why people are all upset when like, oh, their kids can see it, blah blah blah. The kink community is like, no, they're not supposed to be doing that. No, they're not shaming the kink itself. They're shaming the fact that everyone around did not consent to participate in that particular kink scene or that entire scenario. So the problem with this book is this author has decided that this book is age play and we are all going to participate in it, but she's like doing it on she's doing it on the down low. She's like slipping it in there, not telling you that. But because if she started the book off with a bang and was like, here's a grown man in a diaper and like, here's this 15-year-old like girlfriend or whatever, like you'd be like, whoa, and you'd put it down or whatever if you didn't want to read it, or if she put that trigger warning at the beginning. But instead she's like, I'm just going to slip this in here. Like, really, like, just like slide it in.
It's very like frog in a hot pot.
Yeah, frog. You don't know to get out until you're like, oh. And it's very much the whole, like, when you read about someone who fell in love with their camp counselor when they were 15 or 16, and then they got old enough to date them. Or like when they fell in love with
the camp counselor didn't want them anymore because they were an adult. No.
Is that what happens?
No.
But or like the people who fall in love with a teacher or youth pastor and then they write them old enough to get married, or like a teacher, like stuff like that, where it's like, it's actually worse than that, because this is like intentional age play. Like they're intentionally young for a long period of time. But she wants it to be okay. Why does she want it to be okay? It's gross.
So he shows up to her high school dorm. This time he won't help her without a bargain because she's 16 and so technically an adult. He tells her this time he might take her body as payment.
Boom!
She calls him a third time. This time it's because she has no friends. So she buys his company for the night in exchange for another bead
for
on
the
her bracelet.
night.
Did I tell you about the bracelet? So instead of making her get a tattoo, that's the IOU. He gives her a bracelet with a little bead on it, and that bead represents an IOU.
So he's going to give her Mardi Gras style beads.
Yeah.
In exchange. He's going to come, paint toenails with her and do like a music montage of them changing outfits and giggling together and watching movies and shit. What are they doing with their time?
Pretty much that's what happens.
They're renting Redbox movies and dancing to Madonna songs.
So she buys his company for a night in exchange.
That
for
is prostitution.
Yeah.
Buying his company for that. That's okay.
Going forward, she pisses away her future in beads in exchange for his company.
Or
It does not get any less inappropriate.
Okay.
She does not tell him what her stepdad did to her, despite the fact that he helped her cover up the whole murder.
Okay.
So she begs him to take her with him on his side job of making and collecting on bargains. And he agrees to take a 16-year-old with him.
How is this man not more busy? Is he splitting himself into 6 pieces? Like, he's been spending how many years has passed? How long has passed? What are they doing?
He's risking it for the biscuit, okay? So the first trip that he takes her on is in Venice, and he takes her on a gondola ride. And
Gross.
I physically retched at that.
Is he paddling the gondola or is someone else?
No, like, there's just a gondola there. And she's like, oh, can we take a ride? And he says, only if you give me my balls back after.
Did he say that?
He did.
Oh my god!
Yes, that was a banter.
Oh my god! Who wrote it?
She keeps asking him if he does this kind of thing with all of his clients.
Oh my!
She's clearly fishing for
She's so jealous. Do you do this with other girls?
She's fishing for compliments in ways that would be cringy on an adult, but on a teenager, it's fine.
I think it's cringy on all of that. I think it's cringy on whoever did it. It's horrible.
He does tell her to find someone her own age, but she says no.
Someone who's born this millennia, but okay.
Mm-hmm. She's having a bad day and calls him.
Jesus.
Because
so he has a cell phone.
No, like whenever she wants to call him, she just says, bargainer, I'd like to make a bargain.
Oh
and he comes up.
Isn't this what Dr. Strange does? Dormammu, I'd like to make a bargain.
She's having a bad day and calls him because a pervy professor tried to perv on her. And
oh, heaven forbid.
Yes, he's angry because he's the only one in a position of power that can take advantage of her. So he breaks all the bones in the professor's body. He gives her alcohol at one point, which just pissed me off.
Jail.
That's like grooming 101 is like, I'll give you some alcohol as a treat, but don't tell anyone.
Yeah, alcohol and cigarettes and body magazines.
So they're hanging out in her dorm room and she asks if he's embarrassed to be seen with her. I hope he's embarrassed to be seen with her. He should be. So he continues to take her on their little escapades to go on his work trips. Jeez. And she's begging to see his wings, but he says no. He says fairies only let their wings come out when they want to fight or if they want to fuck.
Gross.
She does almost get hurt on one of these.
So let's fight.
She almost gets hurt on one of these little trips. And that's his first clue that maybe he shouldn't have brought a 16-year-old with him on his black market deals.
Didn't she just turn 17?
Not yet.
No? Ugh.
No, she's still 16. So he starts just showing up for free, no beads, but she's already racked up 320 beads just through random favors. So like if they're hanging.
So some days he's come two at a time if it's been less than a year.
Well, no, like if they're hanging out and she wants him to do something, she'll be like, do it for a bead. So if she wants like a donut, she'll be like, give me a donut for a bead.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is horrific. Did she perhaps write this in middle school and then publish it as an adult?
Here's my thing. It really doesn't matter when she wrote it. A fucking publisher
was like, yes.
Multiple people read
yes, girl.
Like, she published it herself, and someone else was like, that is
Do you want to know
good.
what I think the most toxic thing of, like, one of, not the most, because obviously jail things exist, but, like, one of the most toxic things I think that exists is like, people not saying, fuck no, don't do that to people is. Because people are just like, yes, girl, go queen, when people do gross shit like that. Like, girl, this book is got some nose in it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Should have been heavily edited and highlighted. This section should be thrown in the trash.
Let me tell you a whole secret. So
that
something that bothered me the whole time that I was reading it was that why not just age her up 2 years? Because it would have rang the same if she was 17.
That's what I said about the other book. I was like, what would it have changed if you had just made them older? The same thing with the fucking Twilight book. Why did Jacob have to be 5th fucking teen when you met him? What would it have changed if he had just been 18?
So I thought to myself, well, maybe it was like a specific, very intentionally of the author. And I was reading an interview that she gave about a different,
she doubled down
a different
on
part of the timeline. And she was like, oh, well, the amount of time really didn't matter. It could have been, 2 more years, whatever. Then why not?
Then why did they have to be a
Then
literal,
why
like,
not?
why did you have to make us all miserable?
So they have graduated to sleeping in the bed together every night,
No.
but no sex.
That's fucking disgusting.
So he shows up one day while all the kiddos are getting ready for a May Day ball. He's like, what the fuck is going on here? She says, oh, it's a dance, but I'm not like the other girls. I'm just going to stay here in some ratty-ass boxers and mope because no one asked me. Because I spend all of my free time with a grown-ass man instead of an age-appropriate teenage boy. He gets down on one knee and asks her to go to prom.
No, he does not.
He does. At the dance, everyone is looking at them, and she thinks it's because she has such a hot date.
No, it's because he's older than...
No, babe. It's because you brought a man who looks like your fucking dad. So after the dance, they go back to her dorm, and they are super...
Not a single teacher at that whole thing was like, excuse me, sir, have you lost your way?
Tried to give him a chaperone name tag.
Right.
They're super horny. He tells her he cannot bear another year of not being able to fuck her.
But okay.
Right, they make out very heavily, and his wings pop out like a boner. He starts to freak out after he pops that wing boner and says, I shouldn't have done this. I should have waited.
Oh, you think?
I can't stay away from you, but you should stay away from me.
Oh, the Edward line.
Even though he's been materializing in her room. On an impulse, she says a binding spell that does not rhyme, and I hate that. And then he disappears. She said the spell because she was trying to make him stay with her because he was leaving. 7 years passed.
Two things. One is when they're super in love and a huge time span passes, I'm like, what did they do with all of that emotion? They were so in love. Where did it go?
Have you ever been broken up with?
What did they expend it on?
You're just super fucking sad for a while. You learn how to make bread and stuff.
And then
a lot of people deal with this. Yes.
Number two, what were they both doing?
Well, I'll tell you if you let me.
I don't like it.
If you let me fucking do it. So here's what happens. Surprise of fucking surprises. When this grown man stops showing up and taking up all of her time, she gets a best friend. She and her best friend, they move back to Los Angeles and they start a PI business. It goes really well. Callie is a siren. She can make people tell her their secret. He is humping their contracted muscle for their business. His name is Eli. He is a shapeshifter werewolf. She comes home from a job and the bargainer is in her fucking house after 7 years.
Okay.
He lays on her bed and he tells her, and I'm quoting, "You've updated your lingerie since I last saw you."
Oh,
jail. He's here to collect on her 322 favors.
Yeah. I was about to say, where'd all the favors go?
The first one is a horny kiss.
Do you take the bead back? I'll be like, here's your bead, bitch.
One bead. One bead disappears. She tries to break up with Eli because she decides that a kiss that happened against her will was a form of cheating on him. Eli is not a little bitch, so he tells her it's no big deal.
Did she say who it was?
Yes. But she doesn't tell him, like, oh, I was in love with him. She just says, like, oh, this motherfucker came to collect on my bargains.
What, did he say, why did you make 300 of those, bitch?
He kind of, yeah. The next evening, he shows up in her bedroom again. He has a 20-foot wingspan and bat wings.
I thought you were going to say 20-foot wiener.
He flies her to go do her second payback.
First off, you ain't getting shit out of me. I'm going to open tuna cans for you and throw beads back at you. I did you a favor.
So the second favor is that they go to a furniture store that's about to close. He says, decorate my guest room. Okay. So she does that. Okay. And his whole house is decorated with mementos from her being a teenager.
Gross.
Desmond is a little bit pissy. A bit pissy that she has had age-appropriate boyfriends in the time after he...
How dare you?
Right. He tells her that the reason he needs her after all this time is that he's the king of the night region in the other world. Yeah. He needs her to glamour people into telling him what's going on in his realm. Fae have been disappearing, and Fae warrior women have been popping back up in comas and pregnant. He tells her that he suspects that someone called the Thief of Souls is behind the disappearances. So he tells her about the different realms.
Dinner.
So there's night, day, flora, fauna, death, and water. They eat a girl dinner and then they then flirt a little bit. And it turns out that part of his job is to make people horny because sex happens at night.
No, does it only happen at night?
Basically, after that, Eli comes back from the collective werewolf menstrual retreat.
I'm sorry, the what?
You know, like their cycle. So they go off to go get they go off to get their werewolf period together to make sure they don't turn anybody else. And they come back after they're done werewolf.
That's
period.
not usually what they call that, but okay.
That's what I call it.
Gross.
So he comes back before he's supposed to, and he open mouth kisses her and calls her his mate. She gets the mega ick from that.
I got the mega ick from that. Oh.
And he's shifting back and forth.
She said, Jacob, where's Rhinoceros?
He's shifting back and forth between beast form. It's pretty hot, but she rejects him.
We should not use the word beast form. You sound like Jake Paul trying to sell us something.
She rejects him in favor of the grown adult man who lusted for her as a teenager.
As we all do.
Things get out of hand a little bit because he's werewolfing, and Desmond steps in and humiliates him.
Of course.
She feels she is at a crossroads where she can either choose the protective and loyal Eli or the piece of shit who groomed her in high school.
And we all know who she picks.
She goes with Desmond, and he tells her she should stay in his guest room that she furnished.
Psych, you're decorating your own prison room, bitch.
Because she's like, oh, you came to save me from my sensible boyfriend.
My regular life with my regular boyfriend where I live with my
And he's like, I'll always come to rescue you from your good life. He has all of her favorite foods already stocked in the house, which is my favorite trope of men making you eat.
First off, I don't fucking
Hold on,
understand that
here's
shit.
the worst part. All the bad parts in this book. Do you know what the worst one is? Guess what her favorite
thing?
Guess what
opening
her,
it, reading the first page, reading the last page, reading the middle pages.
Guess what her favorite food is? Macaroni salad.
Like wet macaroni salad. Like, okay.
He gives her some of his clothes to wear, and she says it feels like she's wearing his skin.
Okay, first off, he's so many things. He had her decorate a room. He bought her favorite food, but he bought her no clothes. He was like, "Wear my clothes." She was like,
"No." Here's the thing:
done.
He did bring her clothes, but he wanted to.
But he was like, "Wear my clothes."
Yeah, she loves ratty ass boxers.
And then she stood there like Adam Sandler does in a big ass set of clothes.
Yeah.
And he was like, mwah.
Yes.
And like, piece de resistance. And chef's kiss that. And then she was just like a little kid in their dad's clothes, Adam Sandler style. And then she was like, it's like I'm wearing his skin. Like Jasper the doll. Like, you'll never find a prettier girl than me. Like,
They touch a lot.
I'm wearing his skin. This is the skin of a killer, Bella.
They touch a lot, but they don't do anything good. And then the next morning, they go to the other world.
Would anything be something good?
Yeah, because now she's 24.
It would not. The answer is no.
Now that she's 24, it's fine.
It's not.
The next morning, they go to the other world.
This is equivocal to the thing that's happening to the Alicia Navarro girl. She'd been missing for 4 years. She was 16 when she disappeared. She only just popped up now because the 36-year-old man she's been living with was like, I don't want to drive you around anymore. I want you to get your driver's license. They have a baby together. She's had the same braces on the entire time, and they never had them removed. She only came home so that her mom would take her off the missing persons list so she'd get a driver's license because he doesn't want to ferry her around anymore. So at no point would it become okay for them to fuck. Still gross.
They basically have to cosplay in order to go to the other world. So he has to give her special fake clothes. And it's literally
He's like, I brought some glitter bath bombs. Come here.
They dress like they're going to a Ren Fair.
Getting dressed in the parking lot like Ren Fair people.
They dress as if they're going to a Ren Fair.
She's gluing
and
stick
they
on
go
ears.
Into his extra guest room, his other one, and there's a portal to the Fey realm in it.
It's like the one from Mortal Instruments.
It's like Rick and
City of Bones.
like fucking Rick and Morty is what it's like.
Who's the bad guy in this book? Is it Desmond? Who are we defeating?
Right in front of our fucking face.
Who are we defeating?
We'll
like
get
what?
there.
What is? That's the other thing I forgot to ask. What is the point of this book?
I'm trying to tell you.
Is there a murder?
Yeah, there was at the very beginning.
We're not solving that murder. We already know.
Okay. It's those sleeping pregnant ladies.
Oh, God.
Okay, so they go to the other world together. They see a wet nurse. She has bruises and marks all over. She says that some of the babies that she takes care of are from those comatose ladies. They're creepy as fuck. They don't sleep. And the bruises all over her titties are from them biting. She says that the infants are chewing on her boobies while they prophesy.
Well, they what?
Prophesy. Like, tell the future. The creepy babies threatened her not to say anything to Callie and Desmond.
The creepy babies can speak?
Yes, that's how they prophesy.
Then why are they chewing on titties?
Because they're hungry.
I'm sorry. The day that you start speaking, I'm going to whip that titty out your mouth.
So someone has been leaning over the cradles of the babies, and it's just a shadow. The babies keep calling him the thief of soul. Callie convinces him to go see those creepy fucking kids. And they're crying and screaming.
You would have to be convinced because you wouldn't get me going in there on a free whim.
Right. They're crying and screaming, and she sings Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star to them to make them stop. Bitch. She asks them where their moms are, and they say they're all sleeping. She then asks them about their papa, and they say, it's Nick Cannon.
Oh, no.
They say that he's the thief of souls, and he already has his eye on Callie.
Gross.
The kids try to make her stay, and then they scream again and grab her to try to make her not leave. When they grab her, she has a weird flashback of her stepdad, but it's not him. It's a creepy being with antlers who calls her a bird. She wakes up from the flashback. She's back in Desmond's house. And he says, man, fuck those kids.
Fuck them kids and fuck you too.
She keeps having dreams about those weird kids and the creepy Nick Cannon guy. And she wakes up one day in her own bed with a ton of feathers all over the place. And someone broke into her house and tore up the mattress underneath her and then like fluffed the flowers all over the place.
Ew.
Yeah. Desmond makes her go back to his house with him and says she can't leave his house until all her debts are paid. Of course, she's mad about that. She wanted to stay on the torn up mattress.
Duh. You know how we feel, Grace, about all the books you pick. Always got a girl who's like, I don't want your free digs and your free food. I want to live in my rained out hole in my prison cell in the void with the acid rain in my ripped up mattress. Fuck you. Fuck your rich self. Fuck your kingdom. Fuck whatever.
He still won't tell her why he left back in the day. And then he slut shames her for not waiting for him after he abandoned her for 7 years.
I want to know how many people he slept with since, so we can booty shame him.
None. He says,
for
waited
7
for
years.
He saved himself for her. While she's at his house, she's getting calls from her friend, that one friend she made. But she says, fuck you and our business. I live here now with my groomer. Temper asks her if she has been bobbing for his bananas.
Question. Bobbing? Where?
In his pants. He tells her, when I left, it felt like my soul was being torn in two. They dry hump a tiny bit and his wings pop out again. Bing! He makes her go lay in bed and they watch Harry Potter on a fucking laptop.
No, they don't.
This is where I'm cued to tell you a story about this date I went on one time.
Did you watch Harry Potter on a laptop?
No, I watched Rush Hour 2.
That's worse.
It's way worse. And he didn't have any furniture. So we sat on the floor in his apartment and watched Rush Hour 2.
First off, I feel like everyone's done that because I have also done that.
Then he tried to kiss me and I had a goldfish in my mouth. What the fuck are you doing?
That didn't happen to me. That part. Iconic.
And then I went home and I was leaving and I called Lando to tell him about it. I was so upset and we were...
Lando was the person she's married to.
He was like, how was your date? And I was like, you tried to kiss me with a goldfish in my mouth. Okay, so all of a sudden she's being weird about him having his wings out, even though he showed him to her, like, when he went to go get her to go to the furniture store. Because he's been, like, just having his wings out all the time. So the next morning, they're making out, morning breath and all, and he keeps blue balling her. He is kind enough, however, to let her give him a dry handy. He is fisting his dry cock.
Do you know what fisting is?
I do know what fisting is, but...
Are you sure?
I've read a bunch of books recently where the wordage is fisting his cock.
What have you been reading?
This.
You're gonna have to cut all this out because this is not appropriate.
He tells her he's gonna go take her to see the sleeping warriors. Surprise! He just wants to viciously go down on her in his fairy bedroom first. He says, as if to brag, he says, I'm not gonna stop until you come. Sir, that is the baseline.
Right, the bar's in hell.
Do you think she said that to him before the dry handy?
He was just like, well, you know, when my favorite show comes on, I'm just going to stop.
I'm going to try my best. You're going to give to me the exact thing I gave you 10 minutes ago.
When
you're a magical
when people go to hell, being,
I hope you can make
and then they use the restroom and there's a urinal and they pee and it drips on the floor. And then there's a bar there for the short people to kind of like rest a foot. That's the bar.
He said, I'm going to make that bar.
Under the urinal in the men's restroom in hell. That is the bar that he has placed himself under.
So he finally takes her to see the sleeping warriors, like he fucking promised when he lured her here. They go to this massive warehouse with thousands of glass caskets in it.
Here's the thing. Do you ever consume media?
Often I consume media.
And you see a man or a woman, and you're just like, this one and I would not be getting along. This person and I would be on Snap together. This person and I would be on 48 fucking hours. Like, he's like, I'm not going to take you to see the sleeping giants or whatever the fuck they are until we fuck. No, take me now. Some people just haven't learned that they can say certain things to people, but I would be like, absolutely not.
They go to this massive warehouse with thousands of glass caskets in it. And he says that every single woman turned up pregnant and then had a creepy baby.
God, I hate this so
This is a logistical nightmare.
This is fucking disgusting, first off.
The kids are now in foster care, and a bunch of them have been killing each other as well.
How many is this? Like 1,000? There's 1,000 foster babies?
Yeah.
Jesus.
She sings to the comatose ladies, and a phantom voice...
She sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star again?
No. Not this time. But a phantom voice sings back at her that someone is after her. Good old Eli tracks her down at Desmond's home, and he says that he's sorry. She tells him the whole story about how about why she owes Desmond so many beads. And she says, look, Desmond is such a stand-up guy that he didn't collect on any of my beads since I was a minor when I made all the deals. Eli actually takes the rejection very well and is a champ at respecting her decisions.
Yeah, I had a crush on a minor once. I understand. That happens to all of us. No, it doesn't. That's not a relatable storyline. I'm going to let you know right now. Most of us find that abhorrent.
No, but he respects her decision and offers his support in her endeavors.
I got you, girl.
Desmond, however, shows up with his wings out. Eli, being the only actual adult in this situation, evidently.
Yep.
Tells him thank you for being there for Callie because he cares about her.
Because he's ugly.
And he leaves them alone. I love him.
He's someone's dad.
She calls her best friend to inquire about this weird wing stuff because Desmond's just been having him out around the house.
What is that?
He's just been flitting about the house with his wings out while they've been neither fighting nor fucking.
Gross.
And her best friend tells her that apart from extreme emotional situations, fighting and fucking, fairies only show their wings to their fiancés. Silly, goofy Desmond has been showing his wings out because he considers her to be his fiancé. This is what she decides to be pissed about. So she confronts him and he says, oh, I was just too shy to tell you that fairies don't show their wings to their fiancés. They show them to their soulmate. But
I was hoping you were going to say mortal enemy.
So he tells her that he had feelings for her the first night he met her.
There's only
telling on himself there. He says, I didn't want to be a perv, so I didn't tell you.
First off, you are a perv, so mission not accomplished. Mission abort.
I couldn't help the fact that my magic made me horny for you because you're my soulmate. Turns out the final little spell, she said, was such a big favor that it took him extra time to get back to her because the magic was keeping them away from each other.
She cast him. She's just so shitty at magic. Instead of globbing him to her, she just cast him into another world.
She said it in the form of asking him for a favor. And it was such a big favor because they're soulmates that they had to like work through the magic to get back to each other.
What the fuck?
Mm-hmm. He's been trying to approach her for 7 years, but every time he tried to get close to her, the magic wouldn't let him.
This is making me ill.
Bro, it's called a restraining order. It sounds like you've been on parole for 7 years. She's like, oh, then do you want to be my boyfriend? And he says, no, I want to marry the shit out of you.
He does not say
End
that.
quote. Yes.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Put it on the board with, hand my balls back to me after.
Those two can go together. I want to marry the shit out of you, but you have to hand me my balls back after.
Yeah. They finally go all the way, and it takes a whole chapter for them to fuck. Yeah.
No.
The next day, he's sleeping it off, and she's out on the patio because she doesn't have to sleep it off because he probably only made her come once. A super hot guy appears and kidnaps her with almost no effort. She wakes up in a lady prison in the kingdom of Fauna. The king of Fauna is also called the Mad King, a.k.a. Nick Cannon. She's wearing a burlap sack.
I have news for you. She likes to dress like Adam Sandler.
So Nick Cannon tells her he's going to knock her up and send her back to Desmond.
Ew, why?
Nick Cannon tries to wear her down, so she will willingly have his baby. It seems like he has two personalities because sometimes he's really doting and he'll just like rock her in his arms while he cries.
Did he tell her why he wants a million babies?
No. Nick Cannon doesn't explain himself.
Nick Cannon believes that he believes he is God's gift to mankind. He's one of those people. He's not a breeder, surprisingly.
No, he is. He's breeding.
No, he's not a breeder for like the kink of breeding. He's a breeder, like he's one of those people like the Duggars. He believes he needs to like populate the earth with as many as possible.
See, in my professional opinion, that is breeding.
No, some people do it because they just really, really like to inseminate things, like sexually.
One and the same.
Some people do it because of like a belief system, and some people do it for the sexual.
I genuinely think it's one and the same.
Those are different, but all equally gross.
So sometimes he's really nice to her, and then sometimes he's cruel, but he is always spouting nonsense.
So still Nick Cannon.
She's there for a week, and his magic does not work on her, but she's getting weaker due to being in prison. On their last visit together, he starts talking crazy, and he starts funneling all of the magic that supposedly doesn't work on her into her body. He's just like hitting her with these magic lightning bolts. Like her body starts to shift and morph, and two sticky wet wings erupt out of her back.
That's disgusting.
Nick Cannon seems happy about this.
So he X-Men to her. There's a scene in X-Men where they decide that in order to make everything equal, they have to nuclear zap everyone until everyone's an X-Men instead of just some.
When everyone's super, no one will be.
Exactly.
With the worst timing ever, Desmond bursts in and is disgusted by the sight of her.
I am glad.
Desmond,
how dare you have the same thing as me?
Tears the Fauna King apart for being a nasty breeder.
Is that why? Or is it just because of the sticky wing thing?
No, because he doesn't actually hate the wings. The ladies are still asleep. In fact, more of them have showed up pregnant.
Oh my God, stop.
Somehow, she says that the strangest thing in all of this is that Desmond still finds her attractive.
Yeah, that's the strangest thing.
He says that. In the epilogue, she still hears the phantom voice coming after her. So they just murdered a mentally ill man.
Who's apparently not responsible for all this.
Right. They just killed a mentally ill man.
Charming. This is disgusting. Did you finish the rest of these?
Here's the thing. Literally.
Here's my question.
The first time that I read it, I was like, the little what should have been the main plot, but really was the subplot to the sex crime. I was like, what happened?
These people's whole lives.
What happened to the sleeping ladies? And then every time I went to go buy it, I was like, I can't support this author anymore.
Just Google it.
And then when I just kind of read the summaries, and it said by the fourth book that they were still trying to figure out why these ladies are still fucking asleep. God. And I was like, I'm not going to listen to a whole other book where we still don't know.
That's what I'm saying, where I'm like, oh, what happened to the NPCs? Like, imagine if you were one of them and you were like, get your shit together.
I've been asleep
for 4 books.
This was terrible. So where are they now?
Still not helping those people.
Where's Eli now?
He moved to Connecticut. He's a park ranger. I just watched a Discovery Channel thing about the park rangers in Connecticut. So I feel like he's a park ranger in Connecticut. And
I feel like he's on Deadliest Catch.
Right. Like he's doing like a nature thing. He does his little wolf shit in the woods.
Goes through his werewolf period.
He has like 2 6-year-old boys with a teacher.
Oh, he's not working at Walgreens?
No, he doesn't work at Walgreens. He didn't rate a Walgreens job.
Does he still check up on Callie?
No. He was like, take that shit. I can't. He's like, she wants to be with that weird old dad man. I can't. Like, after that weird showdown where the guy had his wings out, he very much thought it was a dream or hallucination from one of his wolf runs. And then he was like, I have to get out of LA. And he moved to Connecticut or Alaska. He got a job.
Stopped dropping acid at that point.
Yep. He got a job on Backwoods Law. And he still has a little gun. And he finds moose poachers.
Where is the friend that she abandoned with their business?
She has like the tiniest office in the back of a motel.
The abandoned motel where they found Jake's car?
Yeah. Just this, like, it's literally a closet. Like, it's the smallest office. It has one teeny tiny air conditioner and no windows. She finds pets. Like, old women come and they're like, I went to the pet psychic and they said Misty's still alive. She's like Ace Ventura pet detective, but like raggedy as fuck. And I'm like, that's what she does. And then she works at Walgreens with the rest of her time.
Where are Desmond and Callie?
In hell, I hope. One can pray. They've zapped back to Earth, got kicked out of his Fey heaven
He
or
was
whatever.
impeached, probably for
He lost his job because they took too long to solve the mystery of the sleeping women. And she was like, it's fine. We'll go back and work at
Walgreens.
my detective agency. And he was like, okay. And so they zapped back to Earth, except they landed in the middle of the freeway in LA and they got run over by a semi truck and they got sent to actual hell. He has to do 2,000 years for being a disgusting groomer.
And now he's finally able to meet the bar.
Right.
That is
Under that urinal. The end.
This has been Read It and Screech.
That book was
I'm not sure.
horrible.
No. Wait. I don't know if we recorded earlier my desperate plea for an Audible sponsorship. If you'd like to take pity on the poor of spirit, you can rate, review, and subscribe.
Or don't, because we're still going to do this even if you don't.
You have to as part of the rules.
We are going to stream it down your boyfriend's back.